Hey there fellow wargamers, it's your man, it's a Sentinel from across the tabletop. I've got today the list I'm taking to the Birmingham GT, and I wanted to run through reasonings, changes, what I'm taking, why, and things like that. So let's just get straight into it. Do all the like and the share and the comments in the bottom if you're enjoying this sort of content, and let's break it down. We're still running 2 patrol detachments, which is why there's only two troop choices in the list. So the first patrol detachment is going to be led by the chapter master. He's going to have his Indomitable, he's going to have a Warlord trait, and the Imperium sword for that rerollable charge. And then his relic is the 2-up armor save, the 3-up invuln, and the extra wound. So it makes him T4, transhuman permanently, 6 wounds. With that, strength 8 plus 1 for the Imperium sword, strength 9 Thunderhammer essentially. And he's going to be leading his patrol detachment with the Incursors. I then have the Relic Contemptor in the elite section, and the Rapier Carrier in the heavy. Very small, very niche, just needed to get it out there in that sort of composition. So that's essentially what he's going to be doing. He's just there to give the ability for the rerolls, everything. But the Incursors are new. Have been using them as infiltrators, but the points just took some other places from other things. So I've dropped the points from the infiltrators and taken the Incursors. They have all the same sort of abilities, so they can infiltrate up the middle of the board if you need to. They have the Phobos keyword, so I can pull them off the table if I need to, and then put anywhere on the table I need to. It just gives me a little bit more flexibility for engage and R&D. Now I know those two particular my army isn't built for, but if it's my last sort of choice and I don't really have anything else, that unit there allows me to take it and score more reliable points on it. That's essentially why the Incursors are in the list and not the second intercessor unit. To give me that little bit more flexibility to be able to potentially take other secondaries that scores me better than the ones I was taking. If that makes sense. Hopefully it does. The Quad Heavy Bolt is back over the Laser Destroyers. I really enjoy playing with them. They are really good. I found going up against the Tau on their Riptides and their larger units that on average I would hit twice, I would wound twice, and he would then make one of his armor saves because they'd have an armor save from it, an invuln, and then I would roll my dice and I'd do like 4 damage with a 110 point model. So I was like, really? It was a little bit frustrating. Same with the Eradicators, to be honest. They've frustrated me as well lately. Every time I roll the damage, I roll a 1. So yeah, there is going to be a change to the new list that I'm taking to so my list is now submitted. It's been questioned, what they call it, verified, and it's been checked today. But I do have another tournament coming up in June in London, a London Open sort of tournament. And I will be running 6 Eradicators for the last secondaries, dropping one of the 6-man unit of Centurions, and that should then be able to take the slot there, and I can combat squad them then, just to give me that to the last a little bit more securely. There's a few tweaks I want to make, like the Gladiator is going to go, and I think I'll put another Relic Contemptor in instead of the Gladiator, so I'll be running 2 Relic Contemptors and the Gladiator will go, and things like that. So I might even be tempted to run all 3 of my Contemptors back again, bring the 3 Relic Contemptors back into the list. But we'll see, because we're going off topic. So this list I'm taking to London GT, the Birmingham GT. So that's what the Incursors are there to do. The Quad Heavy Bolt is back because by demand, and the fact that it is really fun to have on the table. It's a cool little unit, 75 points to stick in the corner. The Elite is still the Relic Contemptor, still probably one of the best dreadnoughts for the Marines, but it dies really easy to the Harpies that the Tyranids have. You know, that 6-shot AP3 flat 4 damage, it really does upset the vehicles within the Space Marine detachments. It's just a number of shots at that sort of high damage at 4. It's not necessarily the reduction in damage, because that's what the dreadnoughts do, but considering they're only 9, anything that has 12 wounds, the Redemptors can stick around a little bit longer, but they're in their bottom brackets essentially once one harpy shot at them. the average is hitting on 3s, you know, and then wounded on 3s. You know, you're getting 4 through on average, and then you're trying to make a 5-up save, so you fail through and you take 9 wounds. So, you know, without the reduction of damage, the gladiator goes down. 3 wounds through, that's a gladiator down. 3 wounds through on the redemptor, that's the contemptor, that's down. You know, on a redemptor, you're taking 9 wounds. But again, that's average. You've got to make a 5-up save. You don't make that one 5-up save, and you're taking 12. So, you know, you're looking to make that one 5-up save just to be able to say that you're taking 3 damage. And if you don't make it, then you take the full 4 wounds that go through, and essentially you lose all of the armor that from 1 harpy. And as 2 lists are running 2, most Tyranid lists will be running 2 harpies. You can lose 2 of your armored vehicles within the first turn. And that's if they go first. And if you go first, you've then got to put them in a position to do damage, and the likelihood is you kill 1 in return, and then they come back and kill you. So it's, yeah, I don't know yet. I'm still trying to work out how to beat those harpy lists at the moment. Not having much luck, but we'll do what we can with this one. So going into the second patrol detachment is a little bit heavier, because that's where I've tried to make all the juicy parts work. So leading the second patrol detachment is my loyal and trusted Tech Marine, which I think I'm going to drop, unfortunately. If I'm going to be moving away from the Dreadnought list, which I think I might be, he might have to go. But we'll see. But at the moment, depending on how this tournament goes, he's going to be there to lead the second of my detachments. He's going to be having 1 upgrade, which is the Hand of Dawn. So he's just spent 1 CP. I start with 6 in the whole tournament, overall in the army, which is more than what I usually do. But I've dropped the Eye of Hypnoth. Realistically, with the way the army moves, the reroll ones doesn't benefit anybody anymore, so bye. And there's that many armies that turn it off anyway. I'm trying to go away from relying on the efficiency of character buffing. You know, you go up against that matchup against Be'lakor and you're relying on your rerolls, it doesn't work. Then the Sisters and the Salamanders that turn off reroll 1s to wound, you know, which are out there. Custom regiments in the future, Marine books that will come out will have that rule as well. So yeah, I'm just going to stay away from it and try and work the army without it. We've then got the Librarian, which is a new addition to the list, and he's a Primaris Librarian. I've taken Veil of Time for the psychic power and Null Zone. Null Zone is there as essentially that this Psyker, because he's my second Psyker in the list. So I've got a Inquisitor as the first Psyker, and the Inquisitor's job is to do that psychic interrogation or the psychic walk ritual in the center of the board for the secondary. That's the Inquisitor's primary role. Do the psychic secondaries. The Primaris Psyker is to turn off reroll, to turn off invulnerable saves for my Centurions to eat through whatever they need to. And then, you know, he's there just to make sure that he makes a charge, or the Centurions have to make the charge. Now, you know, this is because I've faced a lot of armies now that are just making too many 4-up and 5-up invulns. I'm sick of them. So the Null Zone is there to try and take that invulnerable save away. And considering I have, you know, 2 units in the whole army, I think, with an invulnerable save, I'm not fussed about losing my invulnerable saves at the moment. So yeah, let's just try and work around it. So his job is there to back up the Centurions. Same with the Apothecary in the elite section. So you've got the 6-man close combat assault in Centurions with an Apothecary upgraded to have the selfless healer. So the chapter Apothecary, or the company Apothecary upgrade. Again, this is more to support the Centurions, but also just to make sure that people just support each other, because he can bring back and eradicate if he needs to. So that's his primary role. The Apothecaries, just to make my army a little bit more survivability. I do have that 6-up feel no pain stratagem. No pain. I was going to say no fear, but that's not right. So feel no pain, which is amazing because it means I can let a unit go off 1 turn and then back them up the next turn. So, you know, with the CP that I've been able to save from other places around the army. Okay. So the Centurions, it's a 6-man unit. I've got 5 of the Hurricane Bolters, all flamers, and 1's got the assault launcher, just in case it comes up in a game where I just want to turn off Overwatch when they charge in, or I just want to do a couple of mortal wounds, things like that, with the stratagem. And then, you know, they are just the beast mode of the army. I've only, okay, I say this, I've only lost them twice now to outright death. So twice to actual people killing them. And I've played 12 games with them. And the rest of the time, they've run away to morale, surprisingly enough. So the Inquisitor is going to stick around and give them an extra, keep that within that 12-inch bubble, and then give them an extra leadership so they don't fail as easy. That's the plan. Fingers crossed if that works or not. So yeah, they are the punching bag for the army. They're designed to sit on the back objective, push to the middle objective as quickly as possible, or to one of the flanks and hold two of the objectives on a flank. They don't have obsec, so they have to kill everything on the objective, and generally they're pretty good at that. But we'll see, because the Harpies like to eat them up for breakfast. Although I did find that the Leviathan list that's out there with their AP3 Venom cannons still give them a 2-up save. So with a reduction in damage for armor contempt, sticking them on an objective that is also touching a piece of terrain, and then using shield and wavering, it still gives my Centurions a 2-up save. So, you know, if I can get them in the right position at the right time on the right board, the Venom cannons are not so scary. It's the psychic damage from the Tyranids and the psychic damage from the Eldar that worries me the most. But I've just got to play around it. So that's what their job is. I've then got in the fast attack slot in this patrol detachment 5 Inceptors. People have been asking to play them. They've been having really good luck with them. It's 5 of them because it gives them the 200 points then, and they are one of them to the last. I was running a Contemptor to the last, and I enjoyed it because it meant that it could hide. It's more resilient. It's got the 5-up, 9 wounds, reduction in damage. It was really, really good. But at the Glasshammer Gaming, I kept hiding it. And the game that I didn't hide it, it died and lost the game by a few points. And I was like, if I had just had another unit where I wasn't relying on the Contemptor to be my to the last that I could replace it with, I was like, that might work. But I got rid of the Contemptor to put them in, and I think that's the downfall. So maybe the Gladiator should have gone, and I could have kept the Redemptor then. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it works. I'll let you all know if the Contemptor is better than the Gladiator. I think it is. It isn't on paper, because the Gladiator pumps out more shots and it's tougher and it's, you know, more wounds. But when you go into the real world of playing on the tabletop with the models, the Contemptor always lasts longer than my Gladiator. So maybe it's just because it draws more firepower in. So yeah, the Inceptors down there with the assault bolters, they're designed to do that. Hopefully get me that couple of points for engage if I'm taking it or not. Come down turn 3, very difficult to remove at turn 3 if I'm winning the game. If I'm not winning the game, they can just do hide in a corner and get me that 5 points if needed. So yeah, that's what they do. I've got the assault intercessors as a troop option for the patrol detachment, and they at the moment are just sat on an objective in a corner on my own, things like that at the moment. They're not being useful in the game, which is why I brought the 4-man servitors back. So the 4-man servitors that normally would go with the Tech Marine are now back in the list, and they're really there just to sit on that back objective for data salvage, or I could put them in reserve and bring them on the side and do the retrieve Natman data. You know, I found that without the 3rd troop or the 3rd useless model that I'm sticking on the back objective, you know, I didn't have enough board presence. And I think Space Marines are always going to struggle with that because we're such elites. So the servitors help with that board control to throw at the back, hide behind one of these big giant L's that aren't going to be shot at, that could just sit at the back of the table on an objective and not be bothered for it up into like turn 4 or 5 sort of thing. And I just found having to put a unit of, say, Eradicators or a character was annoying, you know. And the train doesn't always benefit where the objectives are. So I was like, okay, servitors are going to be that, sit at the back, hide to the best and hold that my own home objective without having too much trouble. So that's what they're going to be doing in the army, hopefully, fingers crossed. And then that leaves just the heavy support, which is the Gladiator over here and the Eradicators. Like I said, I think I'm going to change the Eradicators to have a 6-man unit so I can split them because they are part of my to the last. and then probably drop the Gladiator and put in another Relic Contemptor. Maybe. We'll see how this weekend goes. Well, that's pretty much it. You know, the tactic is to take to the last in every game, which is going to be the Centurions, the Eradicators, and the Inceptors, because they're all my most expensive units. I have tried to make a list that puts like a character, but I can't make a 200-point character that's worth putting on the table and then calling it to my last. Maybe back to the drawing board. I think I can get it up to 165. I think with the with a baby marine can get to 165 points. So we may have to go back and redress that and see if we can get a baby marine up to 165 points to the last, and then try and squeeze in the rest of the points around it. So yeah, to the last with the Centurions, Eradicators, the Inceptors. The Inquisitor is going to do Psychic Interrogation on those units that I believe that I can get it off on. Otherwise, it's going to be Warp Ritual on the middle of the board. And the reasoning behind this is because of the 3 to 7 to 12, it's 3 turns. It's only 3. I only have to do it 3 times, and I get 12 points. Yes, it's potentially dropping myself for dropping 3 points in overall, but it's more reliable in the grand scheme of things as long as I can protect the Inquisitor. Because it's a tally, I don't have to do it 1, 2, 3. I can do it 1, 3, and 5, as long as it's done by the same model. Yeah, one psychic character in your army can attempt it. So I could potentially get this off more reliably than I can a psychic interrogation, especially against the NIDS players, with that -1 to cast and their denial. It is going to go off on a warp charge value of 3, so it's far more reliable than others. It's just getting in the right position, and it's within, not wholly within, so I could just tag a toe, and because she's such a small base, it should be far more successful in those matchups with other psychic units. That's potential. That's the idea for that anyway. That gives me 2 very reliable secondary choices. The third then is always going to go down to the opponent, so assassinate, no prisoners. What's the other one? Bring it down. Assassinate, no prisoners, and bring it down. Is sort of like the options there. Assassinate, yeah, bring it down, or Tight Hunter. No prisoners is not a choice because it's to the last, and then it leaves me the psychic interrogation stuff. Yeah, the other option then would go to going into the shadow operations for Raise the Banners and Natman data. I think that my army potentially has a better chance of doing Retrieve Natman data with the Inceptors, and the fact that the Cursors can be pulled off the table, and then the other one is Stranglehold. And again, I think because I do really well at holding 2, I don't do really well at holding 3. So maybe Stranglehold is against another Marine army, possibly. But I'm outnumbered by the Eldar and the Tyranids on the objective side of life. So Stranglehold is pretty hard to achieve on those sort of armies. But yeah, Retrieve Natman or possibly engage with the movement I've got with the Inceptors now. We'll see how that all goes though. But that's the army. That's the Birmingham GT coming up this weekend. I'll give you an update if anything changes. The lists are now submitted. That's it. We're all taken. This is the list I'm taking. After having a couple of practice tests with it, since the submission of the lists, I would like to change it again. I'm not happy with it, but it's what we got to live with, what we got to use, and we're going to do well. We're going to potentially, I would like to go and win 4 games. That's my idea, is to win 4. If I can get 5, I'd be even happier. But yeah, I want to go and win 4. You know, I want to do 4 and 1, and that's sort of the idea in the head. So we'll see you in a week, hopefully, with a roundup of how it all went. Catch you all later. To take care, and bye bye.